Episode 100. Big pat on the back for myself. We're now at episode 100. This is more of a celebration episode. To be honest, I'm not going to be covering too much new here. I'm mainly going to be giving you some insights and some lessons learned over the past almost 2 years of doing the podcast. And I'm going to tell you what it's kind of done for me and possibly why you should start a podcast as well. So I'll go through a couple of stats as well, but I firstly just want to say to anyone that does listen to this podcast, really do want to say thank you so much for listening because if people weren't listening, I wouldn't be doing it. I don't know the exact stats off the top of my head. Um, like usually per month, we usually get about 8 to 9 hours of consumption. Um, Okay, I've got 492 hours of consumption since the podcast has started. That's just on Spotify. Over 3,000 plays, which is pretty cool. So although like it's been slow growth, I didn't do the podcast to grow the actual audience that much. The reason why I actually did the podcast is to set myself apart as an authority in the industry, but also it forced me to make content every single week. So the big lesson, and this is the biggest lesson about doing the podcast, is I set myself a non-negotiable and I had a long-term vision of this. I set myself a non-negotiable and a long-term vision that I had to do it every single week without fail. And I talked about motivation and discipline on my stories just before. And I was basically saying, there was plenty of times that the motivation wasn't there to film the podcast, but the discipline took over because I set myself a goal and a target, and I I committed to it, and I'm very proud to say that I stuck to my commitment. And a lot of people don't do that. So if you are looking to do something, whether it's a podcast or something else, whether it's to grow your business or whatever, whether it's to do sales calls every single week, commit to yourself that you're actually going to do it, and you will get results long term. I promise you that. Because at the start, and same with everything, at the start, no one listens, and you just got to keep showing up, even though no one's listening, and it will eventually get better. And if I look back to how I was on the first podcast episode or the first couple of podcast episodes, a lot of things have changed, including the upgrade setup, better camera, better audio, the better conversations. I'm a much better person as I was 2 years ago. And I did this, and it's also a bit of an interesting fact as well. Actually, the mentor at the time that I had pushed me to do the podcast because I wanted to get myself out there to become the authority in the industry. And now we've worked with over 100 personal trainers now over the last 2.5 years that have been mentoring trainers. And we currently work with about 38, 39 trainers right now, um, which is awesome, which is so good to see. And yeah, the reason why I started the podcast to begin with was it forced me to make content. So so many people actually struggle to make content. They just think it's too hard or whatever. But you just need to put in the reps to get better. Everyone is bad at the start. And I was bad at the podcast at the start, but anytime you try something new, you're going to be bad at the start. And only when you do the reps, do the work, you do become better at it. And it's easy for me to record podcasts. Like I could literally just record a podcast for like an hour very easily because I've got the format that I use. I know how to talk to the camera, for example. I know how to deliver value, and it's relatively easy. But also I wanted to reflect on the type of people that we've had on the podcast as well. I was going through all the people that we've actually had on the podcast over the years. Like obviously we've had some clients on here as well with some epic results, but we've had one of our top clients, Aaron, as well. He was one of the first ones. Hamish, he was crushing it. He more than doubled his business very, very quickly. Lewis Huckstep, absolute superstar in the leadership and mindset space. Blake Randall, one of the top trainers in the industry. Dion Monkovich, again, a highly successful business operator. Jason Motley as well, who's actually part of my team. Morgan Nelson on the podcast. One of my other clients, Tabby. So like we've been able to interview so many huge players in the industry like Jake and Jade from Fit Tribe. I think they're doing over 100K a month as an online PT right now. I'm pretty sure. Um, they've been on the podcast, and we've had AI experts on the podcast. So, and in fact, we've had multimillionaires on the podcast as well. So it just goes to show as well, like even just networking with people as well has been a huge advantage for me as well. Like some of the conversations that I've had have pointing me in the right direction to be able to invest in the right things to propel my business forward. Prime example, Jackson Chen. After the podcast that we did, I actually invested in his software, and we actually have a partnership with his software now for all of our clients. Um, so also when I was talking to Jake and Jade when I was working with them for a little bit, um, they got me to they got me connected with Taki Moore, who was my current mentor, who changed the game for me massively as well. Dion Monkovic, I used to work with him as well. I've worked with Lewis Huckstep as well. Like all these people that I've worked with in the mentorship space that have been on the podcast and delivered heaps of value and probably delivered a lot of value to you guys as well. And I also wanted to kind of just be open and honest on the podcast as well. I went through like why I closed down my gym, the ch really challenging times that I've had as a PT over the years, all the challenging times that I had with previous mentors, some that didn't work, some that worked out really well, some of them that was a complete waste of time. I've had people on here from the United States, for example. I've had accountants. But moral of the story here is you just need to put yourself out there, especially if you're wanting to grow in the online space as well. Like if you're a face-to-face trainer and you're not taking advantage of online, then you're really missing a really big opportunity. And obviously, the online coaches, you need to be posting online. And this is one of the things that I wanted to commit to myself to post, sorry, to be making content consistently. So if we look back right now, when I first started 2 years ago, January 2024, I made the decision, and we're coming up to January now, where everyone's going to be talking about New Year's resolutions, etc. The conversation's going to come up pretty soon about what are you going to focus on in 2026. And 2 years ago, I made that decision about the podcast. So yeah, I hope this is insightful as well because this is how my kind of brain works. It's in terms of like these days, you need to be the authority in your specific niche that you're wanting to attract, and you need to nurture. So the podcast is also a way for me to nurture people as well because if someone can watch, I think it's 42 minutes of your content, they're like 80% more likely to buy something from you because they get to like you and trust you. They get to know your personality, they get to know who you are, they get to know if you actually know what you're talking about. And that's one of the big things for me over the last couple of years is people actually know who I am. They know what I've done as a PT. They know what I've done as an online coach as well. Now they know what I've done as a mentorship, as a mentor as well. I've helped my clients make over, I think it's over $3 million now that we've helped our clients make in extra income, by the way. So yeah, it's pretty much nothing but positives from the podcast. Um, I I'll give you some insights into what I'm going to do next year. I'm still going to keep doing the podcast, but I am going to go all in on YouTube. So the podcast is on Spotify and on YouTube. Um, both are getting traction, but YouTube is getting, I think YouTube's the bigger player. So I'm going to be investing in a lot more stuff and in terms of right now, to be honest, like where I'm spending my money is content creation. So I've got a videographer now that I actually just did about 2 hours worth of filming this morning with him. Um, so he does the shooting, the editing. I've also got a VA graphic designer as well that does a lot of my content for me. So you're going to see a lot more better content. So I've committed to going pro. So I started to make content 2 years ago, but now I've decided to actually go pro on my content. And you should be able to see the difference in my content now compared to what I was doing like 2 years ago when I was doing it all myself. Because I'm not a very creative person. So if you're not a creative person, quick tip here is find someone who is and pay them to make your content better because the amount of extra money that I've made from producing content is out of this world, how much more I've made. So yeah, that's the main stuff I wanted to cover in this episode and just give you guys some context into the reasons why I've been doing the podcast. And obviously the the benefits of getting yourself out there as well. Um, like I'm just going through all the people now, like some high level people that have been on the podcast. We've had some epic client results in here as well, from clients going from like 3K to 9K, 0 to 10K a month. Um, some high level experts in the industry. So I actually wanted to ask you guys as well, who would you actually want to have on the podcast? Because I want to bring on some more people. I haven't done a guest in a little while. I've been doing them just myself. Um, because I think it gives a different perspective as well, just having a proper conversation rather than just my insights, which I know you guys love, of course. Um, but I think it's also helpful to have some other people come on here and we can have not so much a debate, but we can just brainstorm our opinions and come up with a collective answer that's going to help you guys as well. But this is all designed about giving value, becoming an authority in the industry, which I now am, and using this as a nurturing tool to help get people from potentially just consuming my stuff to then getting closer to buying. So if you are an online coach, even a face-to-face coach as well, you guys should be using these type of tools to nurture. I'm not saying you have to do a podcast, but I'm just saying you want to have, like, if you're under 10K a month, focus on short form content. Short form content is going to give you the most amount of value right now. But if you're over 10K per month or even 20K per month, you want to shift your focus to, obviously short form is still good, but shift it to long form content, which is going to make everything's so much easier. So that's where I'm focusing right now is 2026 is going to be around going pro on content, but even more so on the long form content. So yeah, firstly, the only way to grow this podcast is for you guys to share it. I don't do any marketing for the podcast. So the only way it grows is if you share it with other people. And I also just want to, if I could be selfish and ask for you guys is who would you actually want to see on the podcast? If there's any industry names that you want to have on the podcast, then send them my way. Make an introduction if you know them, or give me some ideas of who I could reach out to about the podcast because it's not stopping. I'm going to do another. I'm still going to just do the one per week. So it's going to be up to 150 by the time we do the same thing next year. Um, so yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you again for everyone tuning in. Just want to say a big thank you. And it's been an awesome journey. I'm so glad I made the decision. So going into 2026, what's one thing that you're going to commit to in 2026 that's going to get you the biggest results? Perhaps it's working with someone like myself to propel your business forward. And if you do want to work with me, make sure you comment the word hybrid to me. If you comment hybrid, we're going to book in just a 15-minute session to see if we can even help you. There's no sales involved in this call. You can't buy anything. Just a 15-minute call to see if we can help. And then if we can help, we can see if it's going to be a good fit from there. So I'll leave it there. Have an awesome day, my friends, and I look forward to serving you guys even more in 2026. And I hope you enjoyed the journey of finding out a bit more about me and obviously sharing heaps of tactics with you. And looking forward to doing more of the above in 2026. All right, bye bye, ciao.